is a skilled marketer. Get out your notepad. We're taking 3 steps, 3 things Deion Sanders is doing to market himself, to be a strong self promoter while being a football coach. He's really good at it, too. So let's go ahead and dive in. First of all, if you don't know me, my name is Marlon Sanders. I've sold 70,000 plus products online, been doing this full time since 1997. And if you pop on over to this URL here, marlonsnews.com/70K, you can pick up my free book on how I sold 70,000 products online. Let's go ahead and jump in with step number 1. Step number 1 is you got to have what's called a point of differentiation. The old school marketers called it your unique selling proposition. And for Deion Sanders, it is he came in and immediately set himself apart by bringing in, rebuilding his team via the transfer portal when no one else was doing that. That's a pretty freaking huge point of difference right there. So number 1, in your own marketing, do you really have a point of difference that makes people talk? Deion Sanders' point of difference using the transfer portal made a lot of people talk, right? A lot of people paid attention to that. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people liked it. It polarized, right? Now, that was step number 1. He had a strong point of difference. Now, that's not all he had. Step number 2 is like he had hardly won a game before he had his merchandise coming out, his merch, right? I mean, he's got, I don't know what, all kinds of clothes and merch and different stuff. And Shadur is doing, I think, a deal on his diamond-plated watch. They got all kinds of merch stuff going on. And this is smart because he's got to have a way to monetize that attention. So number 1, he's getting attention. Are you getting attention in your business? Are you doing enough things? Is your point of difference good enough to get attention? If it's not, you got to up your game. You got to amp it up. You got to ramp it up. And it may be polarizing. Some people may not like it. Not everybody's a fan of Deion Sanders, but a lot of people are. Now, so you got to have that merchandise, the monetization, whatever you're selling, you got to have that in place and be a strong promoter of it. Now, step number 3, I don't know when he found the time to do this. I mean, all he had to do was do an interview, so it probably just took a day out of his time or a couple half days because I'm sure he had a writer to write it. But anyway, he has a book coming out at the beginning of the year. Now, I have my book around here. It's called My Book of Secrets, and I got a couple. Like this one is called The Writer's Secret here. That's thewritersecret.com. And then I also have my Book of Secrets, but I don't see it. I got it around here somewhere. I don't know where I put it. So that one's at bigbookofsecrets.com. So Deion Sanders has his book coming out. So if you don't have a book, you might think about having a book. Now, I do not have my book currently on Amazon. I should get my book. I need to get a book or some books over there on Amazon. Think that's a pretty big deal. So let's go ahead and recap these 3 points. Number 1, step 1 is Deion Sanders had a big point of difference. He brought in all the players from the transfer portal and overnight practically rebuilt that team. Now, step number 2, he's got the monetization in place, right? The monetization. And then step number 3 is he has the book coming out. So let's go ahead and just do a quick illustration on each of these. Step number 1, the point of difference. Now, my point of difference is I teach people how to create, package, sell, and deliver info products and build a full-time living in the info product business. Other people teach this or that in the info product business, but they really don't teach you how to make a full-time living. Part number 2 is I teach people with any kind of business by a 7-step formula for being able to market their business. I've noticed a lot of people are in different businesses. There's really nothing to help them. There's nothing that's really just based in solid, fundamental, old school marketing. There's a couple of my points of difference. But there's a lot of other points of difference. I'm going to give you one that is really smart, and you may be able to use this. And if you can use it, it's one of the strongest points of differences you can have. What you do is you look at the leader, and you got two choices. Number one is you can be the opposite. So like Russell Brunson has funnels, and then Sam Cart came out with the one-page funnel. They're like, you only need one, just one page, right? That's like being the opposite. I thought that was very effective. You probably remember 7-Up, the un-cola, right? Now, that can be an effective position. The other effective position is to look at the weak point of the leader and then make that the thing you brag up. Make that your strong point. So those are a couple examples of the point of difference. Targeting the weak point of the leader and making it your strong point. There's so many examples of this, but I think about, in the age of the like the Cadillacs and the big overdone cars, right? Then somebody comes in with a sleek sports car. The big overdone, the big full-size cars, they were great. They were unbelievable, but speed wasn't their thing. So then somebody comes in the sports car and they're targeting the weakness of the leader. For me, is that most people that teach something about the info product business, they just have one little thing about it and then they're on to the next topic. And for me, I show people how to build a full-time living, which encompasses the whole thing, and nobody else really does that. All right, let's go ahead and go to an example of step number 2 is the monetization. You got to have the way you make money, you got to have that solidly in place. And it's not always what you think. You probably don't remember, but many, many, many years ago, the guy who's very, very famous in our business, and if we stand tall, it's because we stand on the shoulders of giants. His name was Corey Riddle. Corey had this little book on car secrets, and it was a great book. It'd still sell today if somebody had it and promoted it, but had it up to date. But anyway, he really just sold the crap out of that book. But then what he had was like some back-end deals. He didn't even make any money off that book. But he had some back-end deals, some other things that he sold and did really, really, really well with based on a couple things that he taught in the book. So he had his monetization in place, even though it was like a little bit invisible. You really didn't see it on the surface, but it was there, right? I'll give you a really stealth example. If you get people's names and addresses of buyers, there are list brokers who will buy those from you. And so I have a friend who made I think he said he was like $7,500 a month just selling the names and addresses of his buyers to a list marketing company. Now, these are people that send out, these are direct mail companies. So it's not like they're doing anything, under the table or something. They simply take those names and addresses and build a list out of it that other businesses can rent or pay money to access if they want to send a piece of direct mail to those customers. So it was like $7,500 a month. So it was like an invisible monetization. You got to know what your monetization is. You got to have that in place. Now, step number 3, you got your point of difference. You got your monetization. Now you have a book, or not just a book, you can have info products surrounding your business. Like Deion Sanders could have eventually a course on how to raise, your son or daughter in athletics. He could have one on how to win an HBC or whatever that first program was that he started. He could have, a book or course for, people that want to be, their son or daughter wants to be a cornerback in football, right? I mean, he could really build out info products around his whole brand, if you think about it. And most people can do that. Most people have the room for at least a book, but a lot of times that book can lead to a coaching program, can lead to workshops or weekend seminars. It can lead to a lot of things. So I hope this is useful to you and insightful on 3 things, 3 steps, 3 things Deion Sanders has done in his marketing that other marketers should really take notice, sit up, pay attention to, take some notes, And we all have room to get busy and implement some of these awesome things. Thank you for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with another live stream. And again, if you do not have my free report, How I Sold 70,000 Products Online, it's actually a book. It's 70 pages. You get it at marlonsnews.com/70K. Now, if you like this video, go to my playlist and you will find other similar videos that you can watch. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you tomorrow.